Welcome back to CinemaScoop. Backed by popular demand, the Marvel franchise has released Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy. Will we finally get to see Rocket's heartbreaking past fully fleshed out? Prepare for a teary-eyed adventure as we take in the last of the Guardians as we know them. Spoilers ahead. We see a nursery of baby raccoons huddled together before running away in fear of someone approaching. One raccoon, who we later recognize as Rocket, is captured by an outstretched hand. We skip ahead to adult Rocket listening to music before he heads off to a bar to get a drink. On his way, we see Mantis dancing near Drax. Groot and Nebula put up a sign as Rocket walks by. At the bar, we see a drunk Quill off to Rocket's left, struggling to cope with the loss of Gamora. Furiously, he yanks his media player from Rocket before passing out on the floor. Nebula sees this and carries him to his room. As she tucks him in bed, he reaches out and touches her arm, drunkenly confessing his love to Gamora, although that's not her. We come to find out that they are at Nowhere, the Guardians of the Galaxy headquarters. While testing out his new gravity boots, Rocket questions Nebula on what they're going to do about Quill. We see Kraglin still trying to master Yondu's arrow as he attempts to guide it through an obstacle course, but accidentally sends it into Nebula's chest. She hands it back to him while Cosmo jeers at him, and proves that she can do better by using her telekinesis to guide a stone through the obstacle course successfully. Kraglin rages over this, expressing that telekinesis is cheating as all his doubtful onlookers laugh at him. He calls Cosmo a bad dog, and this hurts her. She follows him, urging him to take it back, but he refuses to. They gather to discuss what they'll do about Quill since he's been down in the dumps after Gamora lost her memory of them. Later, we see a man from Sovereign flying towards Nowhere while Rocket settles down in his room. He stares at a keycard before putting it into his pocket. As he undresses, we see experiment scars and machinery implanted into his back. Rocket is about to head to bed when the Sovereign man, Adam, flies into him, crashing them through Quill's window into a building outside. Nebula sees this and suits up. Rocket escapes Adam, and Nebula gives him a chance to surrender before blasting him with her metal arm. He rises unscathed and attacks her, beating her before throwing her into a building effortlessly. Groot jumps on him and attempts to restrain him, but Adam overpowers him, destroying his body and leaving him with only a head. Kraglin attempts to kill him with the arrow but fails. Not knowing who aimed the arrow, Adam moves on, attacking Rocket. He breaks Mantis's arm when she tries to fight him, and Quill fires at him before Drax takes over. While they fight outside, Mantis and Quill try to save Rocket as he's sustained a chest injury. Nebula repairs herself using her cybernetic implants while Adam overpowers Drax. Just as Adam is beating him, Nebula restructures her metal arm into a sword and stabs him. She removes it and he falls to the ground. Mantis heals her broken arm with a med pack, but when Quill tries to do the same for Rocket, his inner machinery clashes with it. Mantis's outcry alerts Nebula, and she instructs them to remove the med pack. Nowhere civilians take in their destroyed surroundings, and we see Groot crawl over to Drax to check on him as Adam escapes. Since the medbay at the headquarters is destroyed, they rush to one on Quill's ship as Rocket froths at the mouth. Rocket fades into a memory of the High Evolutionary and his advisors, Vim and Thiel, performing surgery on him before he is caged with the rest of Batch 89. He's thrown into his cage by Thiel, where he meets other test subjects, a part of Batch 89. We see a scalp wound from the surgery, and an otter with robotic arms approaches him to comfort him. We are also introduced to a walrus on wheels and a rabbit with robotic spider legs and a metal mask. As Baby Rocket continues to tremble, he expresses that his scalp hurts, and the otter uses a rag to wipe away the blood while assuring him that everything will be okay. On the ship, Nebula informs Quill of a kill switch embedded in Rocket's chest that is set to self-destruct if anyone interferes with it. She expresses that there may be someone who believes they have ownership over Rocket and sent Adam to retrieve him. Deducing that he'll die whether or not they operate on him, Quill asks for another way to bypass the kill switch. Upon further investigation, Nebula learns that there is a passkey that can override the kill switch. They all realize they don't know much about where Rocket came from since he refused to divulge his past. Nebula further shares that most of the machinery embedded within Rocket was developed by a company called Orgo Corp, with a code imprinted on it, 89P13. Deducing that Rocket has only about 48 hours left, Quill decides to break into Orgo Corp to retrieve the passkey from their records. He instructs Cosmo and Kraglin to watch over Nowhere for the time being, and they agree. Cosmo again urges Kraglin to take back calling her a bad dog, to which he refuses and walks away. On the ship, Nebula expresses that she has a contact that can help them get into OrgoCorp, and Quill gives her the go-ahead to contact them. They head off after locating OrgoCorp's coordinates, and we see a memory of Baby Rocket playing and laughing with his new friends. At Arete Laboratories, Aisha consoles her injured son, Adam, before the High Evolutionary enters. He asks them for Rocket, but his advisors inform him that Adam failed the mission. Aisha reiterates her warning to him that the Guardians are too powerful to beat. He perceives her behavior as a flaw in her design, and examines her as we learn that he created her and the rest of the Sovereign. He restrains Adam in a painful bind while accusing Aisha of knowing about Rocket's existence without alerting him. She apologizes, and he threatens to destroy her entire civilization unless she brings Rocket to him. She agrees, and he lets Adam go. Afterwards, he consults with his advisors, eager to understand how Rocket survived all these years. Thiel believes it is Rocket's intelligence that kept him alive, and the High Evolutionary expresses that that is the reason he wants to capture Rocket, to study his brain. We see his advisors share a glance, knowing that, truthfully, he wants to destroy Rocket since Rocket's intelligence surpasses that of his. Thiel questions if he truly believes the Sovereign is capable of retrieving Rocket, and the High Evolutionary admits that they are only a backup since he's already figured out where the Guardians are headed next. As they near Orgoscope, Nebula believes it will be difficult to break in since 3 impenetrable plasmic security shields surround it. Quinn tells her that he'll jam the signals of the shields and realizes that she's mad at him since she referred to him as Star-Lord instead of Quill. He deduces that it is because of his drinking problem and blames himself for not being sober enough to help Rocket in time. Mantis consoles him and expresses with annoyance that Nebula is angry at everything. Peter believes that everyone around him dies eventually, and Mantis mentions his grandfather, who may feel that he also lost someone when Peter disappeared. As they head back up, Ravagers invade the ship, and before they attack, Nebula tells them that the Guardians have an appointment with Gamora. This shocks Quill, and Gamora appears, rendering him speechless. One of the Ravagers hands them red OrgoCorp uniforms, and Starhawk, leader of the Ravagers, informs them that they must wear them to move through the Orgo without attracting any attention. Quill confronts Nebula about not letting him know that her contact was Gamora, and she explains that telling him would have freaked him out. He heads over to Gamora, expressing that he never pictured her as the Ravager type, but she questions who he is, further indicating her memory loss. Starhawk informs them that OrgoCorp is heavily guarded by Orgo sentries, and they must figure out how to get in on their own. He further states that Gamora will lead them to the records hoping to find the passkey, but if they get caught, the Ravagers will not bail them out. We see another memory of Baby Rocket as he speeds through math problems, surprising the High Evolutionary. He tells Rocket of the new world called Counter-Earth, where successful experiments will go to live. Rocket watches a rocket pass by as he's amazed by the blue sky. The High Evolutionary tells him about his mission to make the perfect species and society. He's developed a process that takes an organism through millions of years of evolutionary changes. However, after doing so, the organism becomes very violent, which is the opposite of what the High Evolutionary wants in his society. A certain protein is overproduced in it that triggers this violent behavior and would be detrimental to the sustenance of the new society. After disintegrating the organism, Rocket points out how the machine affects the production of the protein, surprising everyone with his quick ability to figure out what stumped them for so long. Back in the present, the Guardians leave the ship and land on the decompression chamber of the Orgoscope, where Nebula cuts open a hole for them to enter. In the meantime, Quill tries to reach out to Gamora, hoping she'll remember something, but she clarifies that whoever that was isn't her and disagrees that they ever loved each other. They enter, and a worker notices the breach. She contacts an Orgo sentry named Master Carria, and he and his team head over to check it out. Mantis suggests hiding their spacesuits in a bin in the chamber, unaware that it's a contamination bin. When Master Carria and his team enter, Quill pretends to be a mechanic, upset that Master Carria endangered everyone by opening the door without following procedure or waiting for the breach to be fixed. The rest of the Guardians play along, successfully convincing Master Carria and his team to leave. Mantis notices their suits floating outside, and Nebula attacks her even though she did not know the bin's function. Quinn breaks up the argument, and they split up to complete the mission. Nebula, Quinn, and Gamora head to records to get the passkey, while Drax and Mantis are tasked with accessing the spaceport so the Ravagers can land and get them out. Just then, Quill and Thiel bump into each other, but neither of them pays much attention to this. The worker notices Drax and Mantis on camera and orders Orgo sentries to attack them. At the records department, Quill tries to sway the records manager, Ura, with his charm, but an impatient Gamora resorts to hostility to get the passkey, believing that Quill's tactic wouldn't work. When they finally get Rocket's file, an alarm goes off, and Orgo sentries attack Drax and Mantis. Gamora convinces officers to lower their weapons as she holds Ura at gunpoint. They escape into the elevator, where Quinn apologizes to Ura for Gamora's behavior, expressing that the old Gamora would never behave that way. Groot heads to the spaceport while they fight, and Drax and Nebula are shot. Quill convinces Ura to get him into the Orgo sentries system so that he can talk with them and convince them to let the Guardians leave so that they can save Rocket. Believing his facade, she lets him in, and he messes with their suits, which send them flying. Groot enters the spaceport and they escape Orgoscope. We see another of Rocket's memories. He tells his friends about the blue sky, and they fantasize about finally seeing it when they're moved to the new world. They all give themselves new names. The otter calls herself Lila, and the walrus names himself Teefs due to his massive tusks. The rabbit names herself Floor, and we learn the origin of Rocket's name as he hopes to take his friends on a trip in a rocket someday. The Guardians go through Rocket's file, and it hurts them to discover what he went through. Nebula discovers that Thiel deleted the passkey before they escaped Orgoscope, and Quill recognizes him. Gamora enlightens them that the High Evolutionary has created many societies, including that of the Sovereign. Groot believes that Thiel downloaded the passkey into the computer on his head. Gamora is against going to the High Evolutionary because she sees that it's a trap and that they are bringing Rocket directly to him. She is adamant that the High Evolutionary is not someone to be messed with. However, the Guardians ignore her, and she requests them to drop her off to her people. This upsets Quill as he tells her that the Ravagers are not her family, and that the old her found a family in the Guardians. He tries to persuade her that the old her is still in there somewhere, but she's enraged at his constant need for her to be something she no longer is. Aisha has captured a Ravager and tries to squeeze information out of him, but he doesn't budge. So she orders Adam to torture him. However, he accidentally burns him alive instead. The death of his owner saddens the Ravager's pet. Just then, we hear Gamora speaking to the Ravager outpost over comms. Aisha pretends to be a Ravager, and Gamora sends her location, requesting that they pick her up. In the med bay, Rocket convulses as his lungs fill with fluid, and we fade into another memory. The High Evolutionary searches for Rocket after having a breakthrough with Batch 92. He drags Rocket to the experiments chamber and questions how he knew about the overproducing protein. As successful transformations occur around them, the High Evolutionary is frustrated since he made Rocket, but couldn't figure out the issue with the protein on his own. It is here that the High Evolutionary breaks the news to Rocket that it is only the successful and perfect experiments that are going to the new world. He further explains that the Batch 89 experiments were just test subjects they could learn from to apply to species that mattered. He orders his advisors to prep Rocket for brain surgery in the morning so that he could further study his brain. They question him on what to do with the rest of the test subjects in Batch 89, and he tells them to kill them all. After stabilizing Rocket, they arrive at Counter-Earth, and Quill realizes it's a replica of Earth. The civilians are curious about them as they land, but Drax sparks chaos when he accidentally knocks over a little girl trying to play ball with him. The civilians attack them, and Nebula orders Groot to scare them off. Quill notices an injured civilian and asks her to help them. On Aisha's ship, we see that Adam has taken in the pet of the Ravager he killed. Aisha is about to reach Counter-Earth, and she expresses that they must bring Rocket to the High Evolutionary to save her people. After allowing the Guardians into her home, Quill asks the civilian to help them find Thiel to save his friend. Mantis and Nebula have yet another argument when Mantis makes a facial expression that could possibly cause the civilians to think that Rocket is already dead. There is a language barrier which makes it hard for Quill to explain, so he attempts to draw Thiel. Luckily, the civilian understands, and she points him to Arit Laboratories. Quill borrows her car and orders Mantis and Drax to stay behind to protect the ship and Rocket. On their way, Quill and Nebula notice drug dealers and violent Animen and question how this could possibly be the perfect society. When they arrive at Ariti, Warpig only lets Quill and Groot in, as the High Evolutionary has been expecting them, and Nebula's arm is a weapon that cannot be allowed inside. In another glimpse of the past, we see Thiel shove Rocket back into his cage, and he breaks the news to his friends as he makes a keycard that he'll use to set them free. They're devastated by this, and he tells them that if he can get to a rocket, they can all fly away together. He opens the cages and Lila steps out to hug him. However, knowing that Rocket would do this, the High Evolutionary sneaks in and fatally shoots Lila. He voices over comms for assistance, and in a rage, Rocket mauls him. Officers arrive and Rocket kills them, but Floor and Teefs die in the gunfight. Rocket runs away and finds a ship he uses to escape. Back in the present, Drax steals a motorcycle and tricks Mantis into heading over to Arit, since he has a bad feeling about the plan. While Quill and the High Evolutionary talk, Vim gives Warpig the go-ahead to invade Quill's ship and capture Rocket. Gamora hears the alarm go off and spots Warpig. Quill and the High Evolutionary begin to argue as the High Evolutionary believes everything he did to Rocket was for the betterment of the universe. However, Quill highlights that the society he's created isn't much better, and the High Evolutionary admits to its flaws. He then confesses his plans to destroy the current Counter-Earth and begin again. Warpig tells Vim that he has Rocket, and she alerts the High Evolutionary. We learn that Arit Laboratories is a spaceship, and as it takes off, this triggers the destruction of Counter-Earth. Gamora attacks Warpig, who overpowers her, and as he's about to kill her, Adam intervenes. Gamora escapes with Rocket, and we see Counter-Earth exploding around her. Adam attempts to save his mother before the explosions get to her, but he doesn't make it in time. Still, outside Arite Laboratories, Nebula orders Drax to pick her up, but he tells her he cannot. She turns around to realize they're right behind her. Nebula orders Gamora to get herself and Rocket off the planet. On the spaceship, Groot deploys a bomb that was hidden in his chest, and they defeat everyone in a shootout. In an attempt to save Quill and Groot, Nebula, Drax, and Mantis jump onto the spaceship. Quill captures Thiel and shoves him out of the spaceship. Groot grows wings and guides them to the ground. Thiel is killed from the impact of the landing, and Quill removes the computer from his head. Drax breaks into the ship just in time before they freeze over from entering space. She shines a light around the room, and we see many caged humanoid children who speak another language. A frustrated Nebula attacks Drax as she believes Gamora and Rocket may be dead since he abandoned his job of protecting them and the ship. She accuses him of being dumb and a liability that offers nothing to the group. This sparks another heated argument between her and Mantis defends Drax before wiping his memory of what Nebula said. Quill tries to upload the passkey into the kill switch, but Rocket flatlines. He meets Lila, Teefs, and Floor in a heaven-like place, and she tells him that they've been happily flying in the sky. Quill tries to resuscitate Rocket as he's afraid of losing someone else. Gamora attempts to deter him as she believes that Rocket is gone, but Quill refuses to stop. Lila tells Rocket that he can join them soon, but it's not his time yet, since he still has a purpose to fulfill. They embrace, and Lila tells him that the story has been his all along, but he just didn't know it before. Just then, Rocket comes back to life, and the passkey fully goes through. Quill and Groot hug Rocket, and Gamora watches them with a smile. Quill contacts Nebula, and they find out that Drax, Mantis, and Nebula hijacked the ship to save him. Nebula hears Rocket's voice and breaks down, which surprises Mantis. Just then, the High Evolutionary knocks them out and tells Quill to bring Rocket, or his friends will die. Quinn reaches out to Kraglin for help, and Vim suggests to the High Evolutionary that it may be best to focus on the new society rather than engage in unnecessary conflict. This enrages the High Evolutionary, who believes he requires Rocket's brain in order for the colony to be successful. Locked up in the ship, Nebula and Mantis argue again, which scares the children. Drax calms them down and tells them to inform the other kids to stay away from the starboard walls. Kraglin appears in the Guardians' headquarters and blows a hole into the wall of the Arit spaceship. Against Vim's better judgment, the High Evolutionary orders them to release the Hellspawns, dangerous creatures that were created solely to defend the new colony. Somewhere in Quill's ship, we see Adam escape his binds and attack Quill, but Quill gets away and sets the ship to explode with Adam in it. The Hellspawns infiltrate nowhere, and the High Evolutionary orders the Abelisks to be let loose on Drax, Mantis, and Nebula. Vim is also against this, believing they'll lose bargaining power if Quill's friends are killed, but the High Evolutionary doesn't care. Mantis befriends the Abelisks, as she realizes they only attack in fear of what people may do to them. Kraglin finally masters the arrow and uses it to take down the Hellspawns. He fails at killing the last one, but Cosmo uses her telekinesis to do it, and Kraglin finally admits she's a good dog. Vim urges the High Evolutionary to retreat before the ship goes down, but maddened by his obsession with Rocket, he refuses to. A mutiny led by Vim angers the High Evolutionary, and he kills them all, destroying the ship's controls in the process. He orders all remaining officers to capture Rocket and kill the rest. Drax, Nebula, and Mantis use the obelisks to escape, and just as Quill is about to leave, they inform him about the trapped kids on the ship. Gamora believes they should leave now to save themselves, but the rest disagree, and Rocket expresses that he's done running. She reluctantly goes along with them, and they take down all the officers that the High Evolutionary sent their way. Drax releases all the caged kids, and Adam attempts to attack Groot, but passes out from the previous explosion he suffered. As Rocket leaves to help the others, Nebula uses her arm to maneuver the Arit's broken controls, and she aligns the hole in the ship with the opening of nowhere to create a tunnel. Cosmo seals the tunnel with her telekinesis so that the kids can safely cross over without being exposed to the harsh environment of space. Quill jams the shield's signal, and Nowhere civilians help the kids across. Groot also carries Adam over, and Adam questions why he saved his life even though he tried to kill them. Groot tells him that everyone deserves a second chance. As Cosmo struggles to hold the airtight seal, Mantis manipulates her emotions to help her believe she's stronger. Quill notices that Rocket is missing, and we see him guiding the children to safety. He then heads to the cages, saddened by the sight. He finds a cage filled with baby raccoons and opens it using the keycard he put in his pocket in the beginning. After reading the ID card on the cage, he finally agrees to refer to himself as a raccoon after constantly denying it throughout the series. He places them on his shoulders, intent on taking them with him. As he looks at the other trapped creatures, the High Revolutionary attacks him, questioning how he dares to think he's better than him. Rocket taps a piece of machinery on his leg that allows him to bypass the High Evolutionary's powers, and the rest of the Guardians appear. They all attack him before Gamora stabs him in the stomach. She removes his mask, and Drax urges Rocket to kill him, but Rocket decides to spear him instead, expressing that he is a guardian of the galaxy. They help the rest of the animals to cross over, but Cosmo struggles to hold the seal and faints. Quill is the last to escape, but before he does so, he runs back to get the media player he dropped. The seal is broken, and he tries to use the air pressure from a burst tube on the Arit spaceship to push him onto Nowhere, but pieces of the ship push him backwards. He begins to freeze over after being exposed to the environment in space, and Groot tries to save him, but his roots freeze over as well. Just then, Adam grabs and brings him to safety as the Arit explodes behind them. Gamora watches as they all gather into a big group hug, then she walks away. Later, as she's about to leave, she has a final conversation with Quill, believing that what they had may have actually been fun and special. Quill decides that he'll leave to go back to Earth and find himself. Mantis expresses that she'll leave to do the same. Nebula and Drax remain behind to nurture and build the new society in Nowhere. The Guardians agree that Rocket is the best option to take over as captain and leader of the Guardians, and they all salute him. We hear Groot finally say his first sentence as he expresses his love for them all. Later, Rocket plays music on the speakers and they all dance. Drax says goodbye to Mantis as she leaves with the obelisks, and we see the Ravagers welcome Gamora back home. Back on Earth, Quill heads to his grandfather Jason Quill's home. Jason immediately recognizes him and they embrace each other. The movie ends as we see them all dancing and hollering with excitement. In the mid-credit scene, the new Guardians of the Galaxy are composed of Rocket, Groot, Cosmo, Kraglin, Adam, his pet, and Phyla, one of the humanoid children saved from the High Evolutionary. They discuss their favorite musical acts before embarking on a new mission to save the townsfolk from the animals that are attacking them. Subscribe to CinemaScoop so you never miss the latest movie explanations, reviews, and analyses. Thanks for watching.